everybody, I'm Emily, and today we are going to be recapping the third book in the Trials of Apollo, The Burning Maze by Rick Riordan. This is a great book. There's going to be tons and tons and tons and tons of spoilers because this is a recap, because we're getting ready to read the next book, and we're just refreshing our memories. So go read this book, come back, because you're going to be spoiled, and just be in the same place as I am. We start off with our three characters, Grover, Meg, and Apollo, and they are in the labyrinth. Grover is taking them somewhere when they are attacked by these Strixes. So it's like some black owl thing that like curses you if you kill it. So I love how like Meg helps it to accidentally commit suicide. And her and Grover actually have some really cool magical nature abilities. So he plays his pan flute while she throws some seeds everywhere, and they blockade the labyrinth and escape. Apollo's not much help during this. He gets paralyzed, and then Grover duct tapes him to his back. I thought that was pretty funny. When they come out of the labyrinth, they are actually in Palm Springs. This is where Grover says his hideout is, where there are a bunch of dryads. There's a lot of natural essence here. He says that it's really strong, and so he's been working here for the past little while since he was at Camp Half-Blood. There are actually a bunch of fires going on and droughts and a whole lot of bad stuff. It's already kind of like a desert, so you don't need that much extra. But bouts of fire are just spewing up out of the earth randomly, and they don't really know why. They think it has something to do with this maze, but we're not really sure. Apollo, like he does, passes out and dreams about Hierophilus, this Sibyl or oracle that he's supposed to go save, and she is surrounded by fire and she's chained. She basically tells him it's a trap, but he doesn't care. He has to go save her. When he wakes up, Meg kind of freaks about the location that they are. She's like, we're back here again, and we don't know anything about what that's about, but she passes out. We see Melly is a cloud nymph, and she's married to Coach Hedge, who was a satyr in the Heroes of Olympus series, and he's gone missing. He went out to go find some groceries, but Grover and Apollo are tasked to go find him. Grover, he is such a trooper in this book. He's like the lord of nature. He hasn't had any sleep. Apollo's had sleep, but he keeps going and going because he's supposed to be there to help these dryads out, and that's his job. He's also really funny. One of the lines in here that I really liked was, I asked Grover my most burning question. Dryads eat enchiladas? He looked offended. Of course, you expect them to just eat fertilizer? Well, yes. Stereotyping, he muttered. That just made me die laughing. Grover is just so amazing in this book. They find Coach Hedge at a macro army surplus store, and there they run into their next enemy, who is a guy named Macro. He was a praetor for this Caesar guy way back when, but he attacks them with some automatons. They take him out pretty easily, but they learn who they're dealing with because he calls in backup, which is a horse, a talking horse named Incitatus. Incitatus? Yeah, we're gonna go with that. So they know that they're facing this Caligula guy. He is a bad dude, real big partier. Hedge says that they really need to talk to Piper and Jason because they actually went down into the maze and maybe learned some stuff. We also learned that they actually broke up a while ago, so that's new. Later that night, we find out that Meg has a past with this place. It's where she grew up with her father. They called it Aeopolis. It was like this big mansion where he really focused on planting things. He actually had some special seeds that he used, or he was gonna use, but he never got the chance to because the triumvirate took hold of their house and actually blew it up. So that's the last time Meg saw it. She actually has some of these magic seeds and goes ahead and plants them. Go and pay a visit to Piper, who is also losing her home due to the triumvirate holdings. Her dad was this big superstar in the last series, but they've taken it all away, and they're gonna have to move out and move to Oklahoma. Piper seems okay with this because she gets to spend more time with her dad, but it's just like a slap in the face. Piper says that her and Jason have been kind of rocky lately because when they went down into the maze, they got separated. Jason said that he had to just move away and went to this all-boys school. We don't really know what that's about, but we think he knows something. But Piper's just ignoring it. She wants to go ahead and head into the maze to see what they can figure out. She also reveals they kind of broke up before this whole incident. She really wants to find herself. She's trying to figure out her Greek versus Roman versus Cherokee heritage. She's not really sure. She's using a blowgun. Once they get there, they find this guard guarding the entrance. He has like these huge ears and furry. She takes him out with a blow dart, which is covered in this Cherokee poison that Piper's grandfather made. They make it inside and they find out that they are facing none other than Medea herself. They quickly kill her sun dragons, but she reveals kind of the whole plan of this. Caligula wants to be the Neos Helios, the new sun. So Apollo basically took over being a god of the sun from Helios, the Titan. And now Caligula wants to do the same thing to him. They want to use Helios' essence and Apollo's whatever's left of his immortal essence to make him become immortal and him to be the new sun god, and Medea is the one doing this. Piper takes out Medea with another blow dart, but we find out that she's actually holding Helios back. So he starts erupting and they barely make it out of the maze alive. One of the things they discover though is that they're gonna need Caligula's shoes to make it through this maze. We go to Jason's school because we think that he's talked to the Sibyl actually, but he's kind of focused on this map thing that he has planned for Camp Jupiter. It's honoring all the gods, minor and major, and he really wants to put that into place ever since the last book series. He reveals that what he heard from the Sibyl is that if him and Piper go after this, that one of them's gonna die. And to me, it seems like they could just both not go, but Apollo says that you can't avoid prophecy that way, so basically one of them's gonna die. I didn't really take this serious in the beginning because all the prophecies are talking about death, but I don't know, this one seems pretty serious. Jason leads them to Caligula's giant yacht party. Apparently there was a prophet one time that said he would do better to ride a horse across some ocean than to become emperor. Well, he did become emperor, and just to spite that guy, he made like this huge boat bridge. Well, he's doing the same thing again. They make it to these boats, and there they're faced with more of these long-eared guys. They're called pandais, and actually Apollo singles one out. His name is Crest, and he can kind of tell that he's a little bit into music, and so he promises to teach him music if he'll help them out. Well, Crest does, and they take out the rest of the pandai. Well, Incitatus shows up and takes them over to Caligula, where Caligula has actually already captured Jason and Meg. He's got them in these like whirlwind Ventuses with celestial bronze spinning around, and it's cutting them to death. Apollo threatens to kill himself, which we think is pretty self-sacrificing, especially for him, but we realize later that he was only trying to do it to distract Medea, and he ends up actually using the arrow of Dodona, stabs it through his chest, but the arrow totally misses his heart. So Medea rushes over to him, basically patches him up with some magic. But while she does that, Jason breaks out of his Ventus cage and basically rips apart the ship. This is when Jason and Caligula get into a fight, and Jason gets stabbed in the back like twice, and so we know that this is it for him. He tells Tempest to take the rest of everybody away. Tempest is his Ventus steed, and they arrive back at Piper's dad's house. But Tempest brings Jason's body back, but there's nothing Apollo can do at this point. Jason is seriously gone. Like, a main character from this book series is seriously gone. It just blew my mind. One of the things Jason made Apollo promise before he died is that Apollo would remember what it was like to be human. Well, Apollo is not doing so great with promises, but he really intends to keep that one. Piper is furious with them all, telling them all to go away. So Apollo, Meg, and Crest head back to the greenhouses of Meg's home, and they find that they ended up actually obtaining the shoes, which they needed to get through the labyrinth. But I don't think they're gonna get Piper's help from here on out. Crest actually knows a secret entrance to the maze, so the next day they head that way. We find out that some of Meg's seeds have grown into some ash tree, which Apollo thinks may be this like ancient group of dryads that could be coming to help restore nature here. But we'll have to keep waiting to see them grow. They head to this entrance. Crest stays behind at the beginning of the entrance, but they go in, put on Caligula's shoes. I'm not really sure why they needed those. Maybe it made the tiles light up. I don't really know. But basically, they're playing a game. So the way Herophilles works is she basically plays these puzzles in order to get the prophecy. So she's asking questions, and they have to see how many letters the answer is, and those are the tunnels that they take. Well, Apollo gets really mad at one of them because it has to do with his ex-love, and they fall into a fiery pit. This is where Apollo kind of has a vision from his first day as being a sun god, which I actually really enjoyed that vision. But we also see that Helios is being basically imprisoned by Medea, and Apollo makes a promise that once this is done, he will kill Medea and he'll set him free. Hopefully in a peaceful way, not in like a nuclear explosion kind of way. They find Herophilles stuck in this lake of fire kind of thing. She's trapped down. They have to get across this lava bed, and they do so doing the same thing with crosswords. They're actually finding out some more prophecies about Apollo facing death unless he does something we're not really sure. Meg jumps ahead, slashes the chains, and didn't finish the prophecy, so Apollo is tricked because Medea's there. She has Crest in tow. She's broken his fingers, and I should have known at this point what was going to happen from here on, but I was like, oh, he can still play a ukulele with some broken fingers. It's fine. But no, she chains Apollo down and starts stealing his essence, the essence of his immortality. And Herophilles says that he has to be his own oracle. So that's exactly what he does. He starts prophesying, and it makes the tiles fill up the lava, which is what his essence is draining into. Crest tries to help out by playing these really dissonant chords on his ukulele and trying to distract Medea, but every time he does, she turns around and stabs him over and over. Piper shows up and kills Medea, but not in time. Crest is dead. So Jason and now this guy that I was really starting to like, Crest, they're dead. Like, oh. Piper arrives with these Meli in tow. They're these sacred ash tree dryads, and they're vowing to serve Meg. They're pretty awesome. They kill anybody in their way. They even head out of the maze and run into Incitatus, which they kill, but not before Apollo frees Helios and convinces him to just return peacefully back into the chaos. The whole team, minus Jason and Crest, head back to the greenhouse where they find out that the droughts are done, the fires are done, everything in this area can grow again. So Grover's job here is done. He wants to head back to Camp Half-Blood. Well, Apollo finds a nice spot for Herophilles to live, and the Meli, they plant them in this like nice little pond area, but they can only serve Meg within like 100-mile range, so they're not going to be much help later on. We get a vision from Styx just reminding Apollo how he broke his oath in the first book and how all these deaths that have been happening are nothing compared to what's going to happen. She will get her revenge. The next morning, Meg's mansion is miraculously built back up. All the nature dryads and spirits, they help together to build it back up, and they want her to stay and guard this area. But she still has stuff to do with Apollo. So they head over to the airport where they see Piper and her dad, Melly, Coach Hedge, and actually Leo shows up. They are to take Jason's body with them to Camp Jupiter and hopefully work on some of his plans for the different buildings and monuments and structures for the minor gods and goddesses, which was his life's goal. Piper and her dad and everyone else are going to head to their new town in Oklahoma. But this is where our story ends. It's not super exciting. It's not super happy. It's one of those where you just need to find out what happens. I really don't think Jason can come back. I mean, he's in a coffin. I mean, he's down in Elysium. I don't know how they could bring him back other than going and literally bringing him back, but I just don't know how that could happen. So this is where we leave our heroes. One of the prophecy kind of said that they need to find Reyna, who I couldn't really remember who this was, but I know she was somebody big at the Camp Jupiter. I know she was pretty serious, so we'll kind of get a refresher on her in the next book, The Tyrant's Tomb. So I hope you guys come back for that recap. This one wasn't my favorite out of the series, but it was still really good. I'm really looking forward to the next one and seeing what happens with Apollo and Meg and Reyna. Until next time, see ya! So, get this. Apollo was threatening to kill himself, but, you know, we don't really take that stuff seriously in these kinds of books. But all of a sudden it says, he lunged with blinding speed, making a grab for the arrow. I'd been anticipating that. Before he could stop me, I cleverly plunged the arrow into my chest. Ha! That would teach Caligula to underestimate me. Only Apollo.